Hello and welcome to another episode of Earth911's Sustainability in Your Ear. I'm Mitch Ratcliffe, your host. You know, we are back with another innovator interview, and this time we're going to be talking about bioplastic. Now, bioplastic is organically made. It's made from organic materials. Sometimes it is made from oils extracted from various seed crops. But we're talking today with UBQ, an Israeli startup that uses a sustainable bioplastic made from post-consumer organic waste. So that's food, garden waste, mixed packaging, even the plastic that you have thrown away gets processed through their system, converted into the molecular components that you make the bioplastic out of, and then turned into new plastic materials. UBQ promises a circular economy in this plastic material, and we're pleased to have Tato Bigio, who is the co-founder and CEO of UBQ here, to tell us about the company and its innovations. So, Tato, welcome to the show. How are you today?
Very good, Mitch. Thank you for inviting me.
Well, thank you. And you are joining us from Israel. Where in Israel are you?
I'm usually in our headquarters in Tel Aviv. Today, I'm in our plant in the south of Israel, in a beautiful place called Selim. It's right at the border of the desert, so it's quite an oasis here.
Well, sounds lovely. I wish I were there. So first, can you just tell us briefly how UBQ makes a climate-positive bioplastic, and what kind of impact on CO2 emissions does your system have compared to normal plastic manufacturing?
Yeah. So we have developed a unique process technology that never existed before to take basically mix household waste and sort it, including all your food residues, chicken bones, banana peels, hamburger leftovers, the pizza with the box, and other cartons, paper, diapers, and mixed plastics, also those that are unrecyclable because they are multi-layer, all that stuff together, and we will convert that into a homogeneous, consistent thermoplastic, which is a bio-based thermoplastic, for the production of plastic end products. The difference between UBQ and the conventional resins is that those are made with oil, whereas UBQ is 100% household waste.
So, I mean, you mentioned diapers, which I have always just assumed was something that would never be recyclable. And of course, there's some biomaterial in the diapers. You can process that too, it sounds like. Now, your company says that you save 15 tons of CO2 equivalents for each ton of UBQ material that you make. How do you do that? I mean, when you factor in all of the production, including the energy to produce this, you're still coming out 15 tons less per ton?
Okay, so the actual number is close to minus 12, okay. But by replacing the alternative resin, then we're also reducing that. So the netto reduction would be the minus 12 of UBQ, adding also the what we're saving. So it typically is about 15 tons because plastics have a very a carbon positive, whereas UBQ is carbon negative. The reason that UBQ is a carbon negative material is because we're saving waste from landfill, and not too many people know, but you should know this, that the waste in landfills decompose into methane. So organic matter, when it is covered and doesn't have oxygen to break apart naturally, like a banana peel in the soil, becoming a nutrient in a landfill, when there's no oxygen, then bacteria will start eating it. And that's the way it decomposes, and then you create a lot of gases. These gases are methane, mostly methane, and methane is 86 times more harmful than CO2. So when you do the conversion and the CO2 equivalency, you end up having that every ton of UBQ, okay, has saved from the environment about 12.3 tons of CO2. Now, if you factor in the energy, okay, used to convert the waste into UBQ, you will get a score of about 0.5. So when you netto this in the calculation, you have minus 11.7. Now, minus 11.7 is the score of UBQ. if we will replace, for example, polypropylene that has a score of plus 2.5, so every ton of polypropylene costs the environment 2.5 tons of CO2.
Right.
So if you do the netto, you have close to 15 tons of CO2 savings by every ton that we replace oil-based plastics with UBQ material.
So just to extend that question a little further, if you were using completely renewable energy to do the processing, you would actually then lower the footprint even more.
Of course.
Now, are you using renewable
power? If you go to the, sorry.
Are you using renewable power today?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to tell you. If you would go up to the roof where on the room I'm sitting in, you would see all the solar panels covering our facilities. And it is almost covering the entire amount of energy that we use in the process.
Fantastic. Now, what can you replace with this bioplastic? What traditional plastic materials can you replace with it?
So we sell the UBQ material in the form of pellets to the plastic manufacturers for them to produce end products. Typically, our customers today, and those are expanding, of course, but our customers today are car manufacturers that are doing car parts with UBQ, companies in the plastic industry for construction, panels, flooring, roofing, companies that are in durable products in logistics, for example, boxes, bins, transportation pallets, companies that are in the furniture for outside or indoor furniture, storage rooms, etc. So durable products is most of the type of plastics that we typically will involve UBQ in.
And so you wouldn't find a film, plastic film made with UBQ. Is that what I understand? You said durable
exactly. So plastics film will be a raw material as part of the waste to create UBQ, but UBQ is not being used today in film applications. Mostly we're using it in durable products. Yes, we are in the process of developing that application as well. Remember that UBQ is a company that is developing all the time new generations of UBQ material. So we're in a different place that we were 2 years ago and so on. And, just like iPhone had iPhone 5 and today they are in iPhone 12, we expect to have new generations of UBQ material with more versatile applications.
Now, at the end of life, when these durable products are finished being used, can this material be recycled or does it biodegrade more easily than other materials?
No, this material, since we have plastics in the mixed household waste, this material will not biodegrade, but it is highly recyclable. Highly recyclable means that we're more recyclable than conventional plastics. Why? Because conventional plastics are made of chains of polymers that every time you recycle them, these chains start breaking apart, and then the quality of the recycled plastic tends to deteriorate massively over time. So after 3 rounds, you lose the properties. UBQ is not a polymer chain. UBQ is a composite material, and therefore it can be recycled many more times.
That's fascinating. Now, how do you convince industrial customers that bioplastic is a better alternative than traditionally manufactured plastic?
Today the industry is definitely looking after alternative materials because they feel the pressure from customers, from governments, from institutions to drop their carbon footprint and to find ways to integrate in their production processes efficient lines and, of course, efficient materials. So we do have an enormous demand for this material only because it's basically bio-based thermoplastic made of waste. In a way, we're closing the loop of a circular economy because materials that ended up their life in landfills are brought back into the economy in a circular way. So that proposition is very powerful. Second one is because we're saving carbon emissions. So by adding UBQ material in the blend of your end product, you will be dropping the carbon footprint of the product you're selling. Therefore, you are creating a better end product for your customers who are looking for this type of advantages. And number 3, and probably one of the most important ones, is that you have to be commercially viable. So many companies are looking for alternative materials. Regrettably, Most of them are highly expensive. In the case of UBQ, we're competitive, and therefore we have a potential penetration the way we're seeing today, where all these things converge into having an alternative material that is clean, that is a climate positive, that is closing the circular economy, that is replacing oil-based plastics, and that comes with a competitive price.
Now, it's really encouraging to hear you say that corporations are interested in this environmentally responsible process. Plastics are ubiquitous in modern life, and we think of them as primarily petrochemical products. Now, we have to redefine that when we start talking about bioplastics. Can we realistically continue to use plastic packaging in a ubiquitous way, including films and plastics, while reducing our CO2 emissions globally?
Look, that's a $1 million question, and that's what companies like UBQ are trying to solve. Because remember that we are taking care of the end of life of these materials that are typically unrecyclable. Okay,
right.
So we're a major milestone in this direction. Obviously, there need to be other solutions. Of course, UBQ is looking to expand significantly and to have a footprint in every country, mostly in the world. But it will take time. So we do need, a comprehensive way of addressing these issues. But biomaterials are definitely a very good alternative. Remember the problem that plastics are a great material. The problem of plastics is their end of life. And those plastics that are dumped or that are unrecyclable because they are multi-layers don't have yet a way to come back into the economy. And that is a real problem of plastics. If we can find solutions like UBQ to address those issues, then we will definitely have a better chance to leave a planet to our kids. But if we don't do that, well, we're in a way to a big disaster. Let me just say that you were talking about ubiquitous materials, ubiquitous plastics. The reason we're called UBQ is precisely because we are a ubiquitous material that is addressing a ubiquitous problem, which is waste.
So what are the challenges of growing your company globally? You just talked about it. I think you're in 4 major locations now, if I remember correctly.
No, look, you're talking with the UBQ after years of developing a technology that we deployed to market only 2 years ago.
Right.
We're expanding our footprint from Israel in Europe, now in the Netherlands, building a very big factory. From then, we will continue expanding the footprint of new factories of UBQ in other countries of the world, of course. There's plenty of waste locally available, mostly everywhere. And UBQ is committed to making a change, and we are doing everything really to expand the scope of UBQ as fast as we can.
So when you look at a region, and for instance, you did a partnership with the Central Virginia Waste Management Authority, where they're distributing bioplastic recycling bins made with UBQ plastic.
Right.
Will you follow up with that by then starting to collect their waste and processing their waste locally to make more plastic?
So the issue is as follows: if we would have a factory in Virginia or close to Virginia, we could reprocess that material in our factory, but we don't have a factory in every place yet. Okay,
right.
So our material, if it goes to a recycling station, it will be recycled in the stream of plastics naturally without any problems. So as much as we will have a local footprint, we will be able to collect. But remember, many of these durable products are being more and more collected by the manufacturers themselves.
Right.
Take for example, McDonald's food trays. When they break, they typically will bring them back for recycling to their distributors or manufacturers. If you go to Mainetti, who is doing plastic hangers, also using UBQ, when they break apart in Walmart or in Target, they're returned back to the manufacturer. So in a way, manufacturers are being part of this circular solution where they will address their own materials to be brought back in a circular manner. The more models we have similar to this, where manufacturers are also responsible in a way for collecting these materials or being part of that chain, the better the outcome of this system.
So, just thinking about it, the world when you have a global footprint, do you imagine there being many regional processing facilities, or do we ship stuff halfway around the world for processing? And which really is one of the big problems with our recycling system now. We move stuff to Asia to be reprocessed, then back to the United States, then back to Asia.
Exactly.
All of the travel. How do you plan for ubiquity of processing?
Exactly. What you just said just doesn't make sense. It's a terrible solution in every aspect of that chain. Well, UBQ is typically locating its factories close to the waste source. So in a way, that waste that is being produced is taken to a UBQ plant or to our UBQ plant with a very close proximity. So all the water and all the things that you would need to transport that are really unnecessary will almost be saved by the proximity. Once you have UBQ material, you already have a ready-to-use material, and that will be shipped just like any other material within the certain economy. So if we will have plants, 10 plants in the United States, 3 plants in Canada, 4 in Japan, etc., we will be addressing the local waste with the local material. In the case of the Netherlands, we're planning, of course, to ship material of UBQ, but it's already processed waste that has been converted into a thermoplastic material. The idea would be not to transport it abroad to export the material, but to produce it locally, because as we said before, there is waste. Well, waste is a locally available natural resource for us, so we better use local waste and not transport UBQ from one continent to the other. Yet that's more efficient than transporting the waste itself.
Sure. Now, I'm curious, are existing landfills, potential sources of material for you? Could you mine old landfills and process it, or has that started to break down too much to be useful as a UBQ material?
That's a good answer, Mitch. They have already degraded, and that's a very difficult material to deal with. And in addition, landfills are covered with sand, so the layers are sand and sometimes glass. So it's already very, let's say, dirty or contaminated. And regrettably, we cannot use that waste to convert.
So your technology also relies a lot on food waste, which accounts for about 40% of the food produced annually globally is currently wasted. If we were to reduce our food waste, do you start to run low on the material you need? Or do we just make plenty of trash and therefore we shouldn't worry about losing access to more plastic?
Look, there is the food waste that we're wasting by having a very inefficient distribution system. Okay, where in a supermarket you can end up having 40% of drops when in the production. Imagine when you buy packaged lettuce, the manufacturer of that lettuce has already peeled more than half of that piece, right? So that you get a very beautiful piece. So that will always go to, regrettably, it will go somewhere. In addition, you have the food waste of people at home. You produce food waste. So I say regrettably, but on the other hand, that's not regrettably because we need the food. We don't need to waste food. But when it comes to food waste, there is an enormous amount of it. Look, I wish.
So we're not going to run out.
I wish we would run out of waste, okay? But that is not the case, even though there are many technologies trying to address recycling and conversion, etc. The expectations are that waste is going to be multiplying in the next 30 years, as much as plastics are going to be tripling in the next 30 years, and this is taking into account the fact that humanity is doing everything possible, to get rid of these issues. So if we could find ways to better shape a circular system, to better use energy to manufacture products, to save transportation, all the things we were saying, and balance our carbon footprint, we have a chance. And again, if technologies like UBQ would pop up, we definitely have a chance to have a great leap on this.
So, in order to help people encourage that chance to become more ubiquitous, how can they identify a bioplastic product and ask the companies they buy products from to use it? So should they be saying, call UBQ? Should they be looking for a UBQ inside logo? How do you know when you're dealing with your product?
Okay, so a part of first of all, yes, the more people start demanding bio-based products, the more you will end up having a change. For example, imagine that we're producing a toolbox, okay? Mm-hmm. And one toolbox looks exactly the same as the other one. They cost the same, okay? They have the same functionality. One involves a bio-based material, the other one not. If you as a customer will pick that one, the one that has a bio-based material that has the same price, you will definitely be obliging the food chain of that product to start using bio-based material. So it comes from customers. Customers are the ones that are making this change. And brands are addressing those concerns of customers. Back to brands, the manufacturers need to address the concerns of the brands. And mm-hmm. we, as material suppliers, are providing the manufacturers, right, the new material that can address the end customer request. Now, we are branding UBQ. We already have a logo of UBQ. Actually, the food trays of McDonald's, Arcos Dorados, the biggest licensee of McDonald's in the world, is producing food trays using UBQ material, and they have branded in the corner.
Okay, great. So you can find it.
So yes, so you can find. I wish you could see the people that are hearing this could see this, but I can show you here. You see this flower with UBQ? That's mm-hmm. the brand, the new branded material. If you go to our internet site, you will be able to see our symbol and recognize products made with UBQ material.
Okay, so consumers can have an impact by asking for something that is better for the planet. It's always good to hear. We often feel like we're powerless, and so that's a very encouraging thing to hear.
Absolutely.
Well, Tato, I want to thank you very much for talking to us about UBQ today.
Thank you, Mitch, and congratulations for the important job you're doing. We need a lot of people doing this kind of thing to create an environment where everybody is aware that every one of us can do something.
Well, it is on our listeners, and they are working to do that. So we hope we're helping. Thank you very much.
Thank you to everyone. Thank you, Mitch.
Well, folks, you can check out UBQ at ubqmaterials.com. That's all one word, ubqmaterials.com. Take a look. Ask for this kind of material when you buy a plastic product. Take the time to send an email to the producer to get them to start looking at alternatives to petrochemical-based plastics. Well, this is Earth911 Sustainability in Your Ear. I'm Mitch Ratcliffe, and we're going to be back with another innovator interview soon. In the meantime, take care of yourself, take care of one another, and let's all take care of this beautiful planet we live on. Have a green day.